By the way, Roman numerals. X is 10. V is 5. And of course that is 1. This is basics 16. I have no idea if Roman numerals are going to be something you'll need in your life, but it's nice to know it. Roman numerals aren't gone yet. Not even close. Now, how are you going to go to church and not understand what chapter they're in the Bible? Come on. Roman numerals, bro. All right, 11. One of the easiest things on the quiz, you got all these if statements, but what are the known factors of f of x? So the theorem on this is if f of a constant is 0, then x minus the constant is a factor. So all I care about are the ones that are equal to 0. Looks like all of them but one are. The only one I don't care about is that guy right there. The rest of these are all factors. And the deal is x minus the constant. So, and I've said this repetitively, if you leave parentheses, change your sign. One of these is x plus 4, comes from that. One of them is x plus 2, changing signs. That one's x minus 3. And the last one is x plus 1. 4 factors. Easy question. 12, given 3 terms of the sequence, -7, -2, 3, write a rule for the sequence. So this is arithmetic because the difference here is 5. I'm adding 5 as I move right. And the formula for an arithmetic sequence is a sub n is the first term a sub 1 plus parentheses n minus 1 times the common difference d. So I've already identified the difference. It was 5. And the first term is -7. Some of y'all do some really funky stuff with this. Funky is not the word I want to use, but whatever. It's that hard. Plug stuff in. You're looking at this stuff as though it's a foreign language, and there's a lot of people, including myself, who do actually believe that for some people this is a foreign language. So I kind of get your difficulties, but you're just not accepting. Like you just don't want to do it. And it's not hard, you just don't want to do it. So you stay in this perpetual state of confusion. Anyways, while I was rambling, I was doing some work. I'm going to distribute this 5. And then I'm just going to move on, combine like terms. 5n minus 12. Now, whatever I write has to work, and if you're watching this with the audio muted, this doesn't help you one lick, but whatever. If I plug in a 1, I'd have 5 minus 12, which is -7. If I plug in a 2, I'd have 10 minus 12, which is -2. It works. 13, find the sum of the 10th through 21st things. The sum of n terms, according to Gauss, is the number of items you have divided by 2 times the first term plus the last. That's first, and that's last. Now, the first term is the 10th term, so I have to find a sub 10. The last term is the 21st term, so I have to find a sub 21. To find a sub 10, I plug in a 10. To find a sub 21, I plug in a 21. And again, you got a TI-84 in front of you. Don't freak out about the math. 50 minus 3 is 47. 5 times 21 is 105. 105 minus 3 is 102. And how many items are there? Well, n is always the high number minus the low number. Add 1 back. Turns out there's 12. There's 12 things. So the sum of 12 things must be 12 over 2 times 47 plus 102. 12 over 2 is 6. 47 and 102 is what, 149? Be 6, 240, 54. So 840 and 54 should be 914. Check that in my head real quick. 600, 240, that's 840, 54. That's wrong. What I wrote's wrong, isn't it? 840 and 54 is 894. Somebody's still going to comment that I missed it, even though I corrected it. And you know what? Just to make sure, Mr. Milbrath, you made a mistake. No, watch the video, morons. Come on. 894. All right. Last actual thing on here, use this graph. Real zeros and their multiplicity. So odd multiplicity which happens at least once, and that is the wording, at the least once, crosses the x-axis. That's right here. That is a crossing. It's x equals -2. Its multiplicity is at the minimum 1. Here is a 0. Even multiplicity, which happens, and kids don't want to memorize this stuff. Like, pick up your pencil and write. It's how it works. Even multiplicity happens at the least twice. So these are even multiplicities. I know that because they touch the x-axis. If I take my pencil and I trace, I only touch the x-axis. I only touch. There's one here, it's at x equals 0. Its multiplicity is at a minimum 2. There's one here where x is 1. And again, its multiplicity is at a minimum of 2. Degree of the polynomial based on end behavior. So this bad boy starts high and ends low. It's a high to low. That's x cubed. Oh, sorry. It's not x cubed, it's x to the odd. Which makes sense because I'm thinking there's a fifth degree polynomial here. All right? Degree of the polynomial based on turning point theorem. Well, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 turning points. The turning point theorem says the degree is the number of turning points plus 1. So I saw 4 turning points, which means I'm at least x to the 5th. Now notice how all 3 of these things kind of reinforce each other. If I add my multiplicity, 1 plus 2 plus 2, I get 5. I knew it was x to the odd. By God, 5 is an odd number. All 3 of these things are reinforcing each other. Known factors. Your known factors are your zeros. It's kind of like number 11 up above. X equals -2 has a factor of x plus 2. Multiplicity of 1. X equals 0 is simply x to the second because the multiplicity was 2. And x equals 1 would be x minus 1, multiplicity of 2 to the second power. There's your known factors with their exponents. And 5v, part 5, is the factored form of the polynomial. Now, every polynomial starts with the letter a. Every polynomial starts with the letter a. So y equals a times, and let's throw in our factors, we have the x squared times the x plus 2 times the x minus 1 squared. All I need is I need to find a. And I didn't give you a point here like I should have done. It'd be nice if I still had that up. Usually I give you a point and I didn't give you one, did I? Somebody forgot what they were doing. Sure did. I'll try to fix that real quick here. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's probably a decimal. -1.5, -14. So, yeah, it's a little ugly. It won't be that hard on the quiz. But y is -14 when x is -1.5. Let's see what I got here. I got a -1.5 squared times a 0.5 times a -1.5 minus 1 squared. Yeah, that's not the right value. Let me pause this and recreate the problem and see what it was supposed to be, because I forgot to do that. Oops. Be right back. All right, so can you hear me? I had to go back and recreate the graph. That's the point I should have included, -1, -8. Sorry, I forgot. Like I said, I think I'm about done recording for this reason right here. It's taking so much time. I love you, I just don't have it in my life. So -1, -8 is the point I should have used. And I'm sorry I didn't give it to you, and I'm sorry for whatever confusion that generated. But anyways, I need that point there. It's the only way I can answer this question. So let's see what happens now that I have the right points. Gone. So y is -8 when x is -1. You know, if you can't do this stuff in your head, boy, that's just not clear. You can push buttons. There's a 4 attached to that a. -8 equals 4a, which means my a value is -2. So I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to replace that a value with a -2, -2x squared, x plus 2, x minus 1 all squared. By the way, the order of the factors doesn't really matter. You'll almost always see somebody put something where it's not x plus a constant or x minus a constant out first, but the order doesn't actually matter. And then the bonus stuff. This is geometry. Like, I would hope that 90% of you try to do this, but you won't. There'll be like 5 of you. I don't understand why. But anyways, right triangle ABC with C being the right angle has side lengths AB 12 and BC 8. So she is right triangle ABC. Your labeling goes on the outside. You're told C is the right angle. It is a right triangle. Try to draw a right triangle. Length AB is 12. Length BC is 8. And your job is to write a simplified expression representing the sine of angle A. Oh, really? Cosine angle A. Let's make it cosine, because I don't know what it is. I have to modify that. The cosine of angle A is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, A over H. Adjacent over hypotenuse. And I don't know what this is, so I'm going to have to do a little Pythagorean theorem probably to get it. That's what I'm going to do. X squared plus 8 squared is 12 squared. X squared plus 64 is 144. X squared is 80, right? 144 minus 64 is 80. So x is going to be the root of 80. And by the way, it talks about simplification. To make an 80, you do 16 times 5. 4 root 5. All right, so back to the cosine of angle A. The adjacent length is 4 root 5. Sitting over hypotenuse of 12. 4 over 12 is 1 3. Root 5 over 3. Ta-da! This isn't really a bonus question. I mean, we're going to do trig in a month, month and a half. I mean, if you can't do this, you can't do the trig I teach you, because what I teach you is way beyond geometry. So make sure you can do SOHCAHTOA. So if you can't do SOHCAHTOA, it's over. Find the difference quotient. That is the difference quotient. F of x plus h minus f of x over h of 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what f of x plus h is. There's kids who kind of know what they're doing and they like to do everything at once, then they end up not knowing what they're doing. So just do pieces at a time. F of x plus h is 3 times x plus h squared, because I have a square, minus 2 times x plus h plus 1. Now, if you take x plus h and you write it twice, and then you do as Jesus would do in FOIL, you'd have x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Then you got to distribute your -2, minus 2x, minus 2h. If you don't like this, don't you even think you belong in college algebra next year, because you don't. That's just honest truth. Just figure it out and do it. Stop whining about how hard it is. Stop blaming other people for your difficulties. Just figure it out and do it. Anyways, there we go. That is f of x plus h. It's kind of ugly, isn't it? Now let's plug into the rest of this thing. We do f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. So let me write down this wall of text down again. It says take away f of x. And I'm taking away more than one thing, so I wrap. It's all over h. There's going to be a lot of cancellations that happen. 3x squared minus 3x squared. Negative 2x minus a negative 2x. 1 minus 1. There's always 6 things that cancel out when you do the difference quotient. Always. Just the way it is. I have 6xh plus 3h squared minus 2h. And remember that all 3 pieces were sitting over an h. So I can cancel an h out of all 3 pieces. This becomes 6x minus 2. I always put this piece first. And then plus 3 h's, whatever 3 h's is. That is the difference quotient. Ta-da! All right, that video's done. One down, many more to go until 2023 school year is over.